115 Board of Education meeting for February 7th, 2023. May I have a roll call, please, Tiana?
Mr. Burns? Dr. Schabacher?
Aye.
Mr. Noble?
Here.
Ms. Zinzer?
Here.
Dr. Vinson?
Here.
Mr. Weinberner? Ms. Davis?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. I would like to start the meeting by inviting everyone to stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Good evening. It is my pleasure to welcome those with us here tonight and those viewing online to our first Lake Forest Community High School District 115 Board of Education meeting for 2023. Though we are just a little more than 1 month into the new year and the new semester, there is so much important work already underway in our district and at our high school. Tonight, Dr. Montgomery, Dr. Lennart, our student council leaders, and others will update us on strategic planning, academics, and extracurricular highlights. On behalf of the board, I would like to take this opportunity to acknowledge the tireless work and dedicated collaboration of so many in our community as we work together to maintain our tradition of excellence while adapting and evolving what we offer our students at Lake Forest High School. One important way we are doing this is through our very intentional approach to financial management and facilities master planning. I have had the privilege of participating on the Facilities Master Plan Oversight Committee over the past several years. It's actually been almost exactly 4 years since that committee first gathered. And I am very proud of the proposed package of infrastructure improvements that the committee recommended and Superintendent Montgomery brought before the board at our December meeting. The Oversight Committee, made up of dozens of faculty, staff, students, administrators, and community members, met 24 times in an effort to thoughtfully consider and prioritize their recommendations, 24 times. We started with a package teetering near $200 million. We reduced it to $160 million, then $140 million, and finally $105.7 million. It is a proposal that was whittled from our ultimate wish list to the very basics. A package that addresses classrooms that are too hot or too cold, leaking windows, faulty roofing, bathrooms that are no longer fully functional, enhanced ADA accessibility, and electrical. I was surprised to learn that we have electrical panels in our building that date back to the Eisenhower era, and that is true. Some of you have asked, why didn't we keep up with needed repairs? Well, the truth is that we actually did. We are fortunate that our outstanding maintenance and repair program has allowed us to extend the useful life of our systems and mechanicals. But the unfortunate truth is that many of those systems are now truly at their end of life. Delaying further will result in costly emergency repairs, the possibility of disrupted learning for our students and staff, and significantly inflated prices for services that are kicked down the road. We did, in fact, look at waiting to come to the public with this referendum until our current bonds were paid off, and the assessment that was done proved that we would be asking for $16 to $20 million more than what we are coming to you now. Some of you have also asked, how did we get to a place where we need to ask our community to support a referendum to cover these costs? Well, historically, it has not been the district's practice to sit on large amounts of taxpayer dollars. Instead, we reach out every 15 to 20 years to the community for support when our capital expenditure needs exceed our annual maintenance and repair budget. This is not the case for all districts in our area, including District 67. But as fiscal stewards of your taxpayer dollars, this is how District 115 has chosen to address our most pressing capital needs. I invite you to learn more about our proposed referendum at this week's Let's Talk Community Forum, which will be held in the Little Theater at the high school on Wednesday night, which is tomorrow night, at 7 p.m. I encourage you to come early and take a tour in the building at 6 o'clock, and you will quickly.
Dr. Sasson had a family emergency, has a family emergency. So Mr. Maher has graciously agreed to present the slides that Dr. Sasson prepared. A couple of important key points about the post-secondary report. We've been asked to touch on what the Common App process is, what are the benefits as well as the realities of the Common App process. We've gotten some feedback from college admissions officers, and then we also have the actual Lake Forest High School data for the class of 2022. We're always excited to shine a light on our students and our programs. Finally, I wanted to update you on some of the work we've been doing since that December's assessment report. Again, it's been a couple of months, so a lot's happened. We have our morning SAT prep sessions all lined up for a large cohort of juniors. We have our boot camp, SAT boot camp, ready to begin. We're currently in an ACT boot camp. And many teams of teachers have met to unpack those college readiness skills and build more explicit instruction into their classes. We had a group of math teachers over winter break who actually analyzed a released SAT. They looked at their current course pacing guides, and then they built in those skills in a spiraling fashion. Our English department has done much of that same work, and I wanted to share with you an example. So I'm about to pop it up right now. This is just how explicitly we're teaching those skills, and hopefully you can make that out. But here you see an example of a full drive that's been built by teachers, and they're actually using SAT-style questions in their warm-ups, basic literary devices, basic grammar skills from the SAT. I'm going to say again, and I'm going to say over and over again, we're not interested in being a test prep school. We don't believe in it, and we don't believe that actually it honors the qualitative work of teaching and learning. But we do believe in college readiness skills. Writing, critically reading, numeracy, they're all very important. Post-COVID, we are in a very different, but not unmanageable, but different world of having to be explicit when we teach them. That's not something secondary teachers have had to do with some of these skills. We all agree that we want to give our students as many opportunities as possible to remain competitive, which is why our educators have embraced this type of targeted support like this. There will be more to come in future reports, for sure, but Lake Forest High School has the right people leading the learning. I'm going to back up now because I see Pride and Laney are here. Let them do their celebration slide before we go on to the spotlight.
Hi guys.
Hello, sorry we're a little late.
Yeah, we're excited to share our celebrations for last month. Starting off strong with the winter formal, we had a huge turnout, especially because we haven't had the dance in a few years now. They even had to start kicking people out at the end because they were staying till the end. So that was exciting to see, and it was candy cane theme, so there were some great decorations that we helped with as well.
Yeah, and secondly, it's a new year, new semester, starting off strong. Everyone's really excited, coming back from winter break, and yeah, just starting off the new semester.
Okay, as well as lots of competition with our dance, robotics, basketball, speech team, wrestling, boys swim and dive, and gymnastics. They're all competing at high levels, and yeah, so a lot of people are going to those events as well.
And then a big event that just happened last week was we had a signing day celebration at school. We signed 7 seniors, 7 athletes from sports ranging from swim to basketball. And yeah, it's just always fun to celebrate student athletes at school.
Awesome.
Yes. The winter play was last week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I was actually able to attend the Thursday night show. It was the Wild Dust. It was phenomenal play, and one of the teachers, Mr. Pulio, it was his last production. So that was sad to see, but I think that he has enjoyed all of his years with the plays and everything.
And then for some events for the senior class that are coming up, we have a senior breakfast coming up on February 9th, later this week, which is just something fun that the senior class likes to do before school, we bring in a bunch of food for just the seniors, like bagels, Einsteins, fun stuff like that to celebrate the senior class. And we're also in the middle of a cereal drive, which is like a little competition amongst the senior study hall periods. And whatever period can bring in the most cereal boxes will win a pizza party. So yeah, that's something fun.
Also, the talent show is coming up the 23rd, 24th, and 25th. They already had the auditions and everything, and now they're practicing, getting ready for the show, which is going to be a lot of fun.
And then a big celebration that just occurred, I think, this past weekend was our cheer and dance team just won state, and then they just got back from their national dance competition at Disney's ESPN Wide World of Sports complex, and they placed 4th and 8th, which is really amazing. Everyone's super psyched about them and happy for them. So yeah,
Those are our updates.
Awesome, thank you. Thank you, ladies.
Yeah.
So Mr. Pulio was 29 years. Yep, and I talked to him yesterday. I think his birthday might actually be today, too. But I talked to him yesterday, and he said that, I don't really want a big deal. I don't want people to make a big deal. But on Saturday, there was a big event that was planned for him, and something that meant the world to him. All the students who returned flew back for his last show. He had a lot of good memories that night. He has a lot of fun stories, too, about Lake Forest High School. So it's fun to learn from that legacy group. We have 13 graduating. They call themselves the graduating class, our 13 retirees coming up. So thank you, and thank you for honoring them as well. It's important to know that the dance team also, there were 250 teams competing. So 4th in Palms and 8th in Jazz. That's an amazing accomplishment. So thank you. Now, without further ado, let me get to, okay. So speaking of the right people, I've got my joke in a minute. Today we will hear from our science and math departments as they spotlight again that extracurricular and the extracurricular activities and curricular offerings. I think that you will find that their problems always have solutions and that they do have chemistry. Get it? Without further ado, Dr. Abrams and Mr. Summey.
So I think everybody, I know Dr. Montgomery can agree, the kids, parents, that science department is the best department in the school, right?
We're all agreeing to that?
Math's right, you're right next to it. So in science, I think everybody has taken science, but you might remember some facts, but the skills that you learn in science, I know when my kids who are in this district, when they go through here, this is what I really want them to remember. I want them to be able to analyze, interpret data, et cetera, make experiments, look at different problems and solve, but the content does matter. And our students are great, and our teachers are great, and they're dedicated. It's the best group of people I've been around. They're here in the morning, setting up labs early, staying after school, setting up labs, and meeting with students all throughout the day. So without further ado, let's get some students up here, and we'll talk about the different after-school activities that we have. Environmental Club. You're all right.
Hi everyone, my name is Kate Johnson. I'm a senior at Lake Forest and I'm representing Environmental Club. I've been involved in Environmental Club for all 4 years. Last year I was the vice president and this year I'm president. Environmental Club is all about raising awareness about sustainability in the school and the community. This year we've made our most strides that I can remember in my time at Lake Forest. We've worked with various members of staff to kind of incorporate sustainability into the lunchroom. You can see that with our reusable aluminum water bottles, which are infinitely recyclable, and our boxed water. And this is an effort to replace any plastic water bottles in the building, although we know that that will be a gradual change. And we've also gotten more vegetarian options in the lunchroom, not only for healthier options, but to accommodate any students who may be vegan or vegetarian. This week, we're starting to sell our Valentine's Day candygrams, and that'll be helping to send out Valentine's Day with cute little environmentally sustainable and raising awareness for the environment through that. And looking forward, we hope to incorporate more sustainability into the building, whether that's with a more advanced recycling program, or maybe possibly in the future, any solar panels for the building. Yeah, that's kind of my spiel.
Thank you. Oh, there we go. Next, we have Science Olympiad. Ms. Kopecki.
Hi, I'm Lena Kopecki, one of the Science Olympiad sponsors. My student volunteer couldn't make it, unfortunately, tonight. But just in regards to Science Olympiad, we're a STEM competition, both national and state levels. And we do different events. It sounds kind of boring that they're study events, but there's actually building events as well. And they're always within teams and groups of 2 usually. And so we cover all the basics. So we've got life science, earth science, a little bit of physical science, and technology and engineering. So we had our first invite on January 28th. So the picture that you're seeing is a balsa bridge that was built. It's only with balsa wood with just some glue, and then you have to test how much it can hold. So it held 13 kilograms, and that's 28 pounds for just a little wood bridge, if you think about that, which is very impressive. And then we compete in other study events too. So out of 47 teams, we actually scored second in forensics, which is amazing. So we meet weekly on Thursdays, and we have our next competition this weekend at Loyola Academy. So thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Robotics.
Hi, I'm Sydney Karajas, and I am a junior.
And I'm Evan, I'm also a junior as well.
We are this year's robotics co-captains, and this is our robots. So each year, robotics, we work to complete a different challenge. And this year's challenge, which you can see in some of the pictures, was to take cones and stack them on top of different height poles or low junctions, and we compete with different teams across Illinois, different high schools, different organizations, and yeah, we have a ton of fun just building. We have a really great team, and we make sure that we try to teach everybody everything we can, and no experience is needed, which is honestly one of the really cool things about it. It's all building, design, marketing, and programming, but yeah, anything else?
I mean, there's also a club aspect as well. I mean, it's not just a team, but I mean, kids that come there, I mean, you know, people have their own interests. I mean, if they have an interest with, you know, their own projects, whether it be electrical or something physical, they can come to club, and members of the team like myself, or anybody else there that has experience can help them solder, do anything that they need to do. Because, I mean, you know, we share that interest, and we want to help as many people as they can. So it's not just a competitive team, but it's also a club aspect as well.
Yeah, and then these photos are from some of our last competitions. This one here was actually right after we set our new record, which was a really fun moment because we were not expecting to do that. But yeah, those are just photos from throughout some of our past competitions.
Well, I don't know if I can stand up here and say that I agree with Dr. Abrams that the science department is the best department, but I can tell you that there are 2 main things that I really wanted to make sure I hit on tonight, and that for each of our course offerings that we have in our department, as Dr. Lennar kind of was alluding to in terms of staffing, we have created courses that we feel like meet the needs of each of our learners. And so we feel like the goal is to provide coursework that can take any student that comes into our building and give them 4 years to grow. And I think that many of what you see here reflects the values and the interests that our students have, and it has shaped their course offerings, but as well as the clubs and activities that they've chosen to engage in. And so rather than have me stand up here and tell you about all of this, I think it's probably better to hear it best from the teachers and the students that are involved in each of these things. They're going to share a little bit about some of these programs. So Dr. Aronson, you want to share a little bit about this?
Hi, I'm a computer science teacher. We have 5 different computer science classes. We have AP Computer Science Principles, which is an intro to digital thinking with programming and data and the internet. Then we have AP Computer Science A, which is college programming in Java, basically a semester of college credit. Then we have, and this is where we distinguish ourselves, we have a year after that, which is called Advanced Computer Science Honors, which is basically a data structures and algorithms class that you would take in college. And then we even further, much different than a lot of other high schools, we have a year after that, which is this being writing advanced apps. And then even next year, we have a year after that, which is a fourth year, which is going to be studying like AI and neural networks and things like that. So we really distinguish ourselves from a lot of other high schools who maybe have principals in AP Computer Science A. Now, the third year class wrote apps first semester, and they entered them into the Congressional App Challenge, which is judged by Brad Schneider, and we had the winning team and 2 runners-ups. So we basically came in first, second, and third. So we have the winning team here, which is, they'll describe the...
Hi, I'm Connor Cafelda,
I'm Ashley Kime.
and we are this year's winners of the Congressional App Challenge with our app, Negative Headspace. Now, we believe that everyone in the world has the capacity to do good, but they don't necessarily know how to go about it. We're lucky to have a community that emphasizes the importance of activism and volunteering. And we're constantly provided with opportunities, but that isn't true everywhere, so we want to go beyond the scope of the North Shore. We created our app with the goal of bringing attention to problems throughout the world and informing our users as to what they can do to make a difference.
In order to reach a wider audience, we wanted to write this app for your phone. To do this, we had to learn an entirely new coding language, Swift, along with a database known as SQLite. Our app pulls information from the database and provides an intuitive interface that allows the user to view a random topic, sort by category, or sort by severity. Each topic contains a thumbnail, a description of the issue, sources, and what can be done to help. We hope that our app can make a positive impact around the world. Thank you very much.
Up next, I'd like to invite Kate and Laurel. You want to share a little bit about women in STEM? Yeah.
I'm back. Hi. I'm the president of Women in STEM, and I have been since my junior year. I've been involved with Women in STEM for 3 years of high school, and it's all about connecting young girls together who share their interests in math, science, engineering, anything in the world of STEM. And through this, we do a lot of hands-on activities. So recently, we just went out to a creek last fall-ish, and we collected water, and we looked at the microbiome under a microscope. And we've also done outreach in the community at Beacon Place, where we got young children involved in STEM and really passionate and excited about genetics, and we did that by extracting the DNA from strawberries. And we just do a lot of activities to try to connect girls with each other so they can kind of share their passions for that. We also invite members of the community to talk, and those are professionals who have experience in STEM. Kind of a motto of our club is you cannot be what you cannot see, so we want to provide girls with that leadership and that kind of path forward in different areas of STEM to see what's possible and what they can achieve. I actually met Laurel at Women in STEM Club, and we got involved in the science fair, and I know that kind of relates to science, but we wanted to talk a little bit about our experience with that and the club that we've founded.
Yeah, so we don't have a particular slide for this, but we wanted to talk a little bit about our competition science fair team, which is just starting this year. Kate and I competed in the IJAS State Science Fair last year, and after seeing how many nearby schools had big teams of like 30 or 50 competitors, we wanted to bring a little bit of that back to Lake Forest. So we've been starting a club this year where students can come, and topics can range from mathematics and engineering, computer science, statistics, to like experiments with chemistry and biology. It's a really cool opportunity for students to do different science projects that they're interested in, and we're really trying to get more students and faculty involved with that for next year.
Yeah, so that's that. Thank you.
Well, I think you might want to just stay up here the rest of the night. I don't know. Math team, Mr. Goldstein, Sid, you want to come on up and share a little bit?
Sure. Okay, math team is kind of a misnomer because there's really 9 different contests that the 25 to 30 kids engage in. And just to point out one simple fact, our season starts the second week of August and it ends the middle of May, which I think makes us a 3-season sport. Just pointing that out. So we have a freshman team, a sophomore team, a junior team, a senior team, a team of 2 oralists. We have a 2-person team. We have an 8-person team. We have a candy bar competition. We have a calculator competition. So we, the 4 coaches, we train the kids in all these different contests, and it's kind of like a track and field event when you go to one of these because they participate in different levels. And they're not only doing math for accuracy, they're also doing it for speed, which for some of you might be your worst nightmare. So we're training them to think quickly, think creatively and critically, and also to have a lot of fun. So again, it's something that they do all 4 years. And just a historical note, Mr. Aronson and I were both on math team. So kids who really enjoy math team may end up here in 20 years telling you about math team in the future. So I'll let them talk about it because they can probably do a better job than I can. Go ahead.
Hey, what's up? I'm Sid. I'm a senior in math team. This is my 4th year in math team, and I'm one of the oralists. And Mr. Goldstein is actually the coach, so he's taught me a lot about how to, be one of the oralists for math team, I think. And so at math team, basically it's separated into 4 levels, as Mr. Goldstein said, and each grade gets to meet with each other. So you're not with different grades, you're just with your own grade. And what I found working, with like Laurel and Kate in math team is that you get to, like a really collaborative environment doing math. It's not just like sit down, take a math test after school. It's, work together and try to learn how to solve like unique questions, which I've really liked in math team. So that's what I took out of math team.
Sid, can you tell us what does that mean that you're the oralist?
Yeah. So what happens at meets is me and eventually in some of the other meets I'll have a partner, is I am given like 3 questions to solve, and I'm given like 15 minutes to solve these questions. And then after those 15 minutes, I'm taken into a room with judges, and I have to present my solutions to these questions. And it is definitely stressful. I've had to make up a lot of math while presenting. Mr. Goldstein might recount an example where I proved that 100 is equal to 100. But it's very fun, and it's definitely a unique way to approach math. So yeah, that's what it means to be an oralist.
I think Sid and Mr. Goldstein pretty much covered all of it, but I would say that math team, I've done slightly different competitions from Sid, and I agree that it is definitely really collaborative, really fun to work as a group together. We're actually preparing for regionals now. That'll be in, I think, 3 weeks. And then state after that. So we have some big events coming up, but the teachers are doing a great job of preparing us, and everyone's collaborating really well. So yeah.
All right, so when I said that Laurel was going to be up here the rest of the night, this is kind of what I'm getting at. So we one of the many experiences that we participate in at Lake Forest that we provide our students for mathematics is participation in the America's Mathematics competition. So every year we have many students who seek to sit for an exam, to take a math test, to prove their mettle, to see how well they stack up across the entire nation. And about 5% of the people who sit for that exam qualify for the American Invitational Mathematics exam. And Laurel was our lone qualifier. So, yeah. Now, she's still standing, which is a testament to her perseverance and just her sheer stamina, because she sat for that today. So she went to class, and then she went for a 3-hour exam, and then she came here to tell all of you about her love of math and science. So, Laurel, do you want to share a little bit about the experience? Just don't share any of the answers, because remember, not until tomorrow at 8 o'clock. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually think that this is, I would say that math team and these AMC tests are kind of fun problems. They're definitely really hard, and today sitting for that 3-hour test was really difficult, but they're definitely really interesting, make you think kind of problems. And I've done the AMC all 4 years at Lake Forest. This was the first year that I qualified for the AIME one. But I think it's a really great opportunity. I hope that students continue to get involved with it every year, because I think that they're kind of fun, and it's definitely difficult, but I think it's a really good opportunity, and it was just really exciting to qualify. So I hope that people continue to do it and get that opportunity.
Thanks, Laurel.
Congratulations.
The last program I wanted to shine a little light on is a program called Strategic Math, but as I've said throughout the evening, I think it's probably better to hear this from the perspective of students and from the teachers in that space. So I think I pressed this, not this one?
Hit the play. Hit the move next.
This guy?
Yeah, there you go.
All right.
In math, I used to feel like I was really struggling.
I hated math. I did terrible on it. I found it hard, confusing.
Math was a real challenge for me. I was failing.
Well, I've always had a lot of trouble with math.
So what is strategic math? Strategic Math 1 and Strategic Math 2 are classes that are to be taken with Algebra 1 and Algebra 2, respectively.
Our students engage in work parallel to the learning targets of their algebra course. We designed the strategic math work to draw student attention to mathematical structures, regularity, and repeated reasoning.
The most important thing that we do is give the students the confidence they need to be successful. A number of our students come into class with preconceived notions that they are not great at math or tell us how much they dislike math. It's our goal to change their mindset by the time they exit the course.
In strategic math, we examine the structure of problems.
Work is structured in a way that I see the patterns better.
Your method way, like that, it's not always the answer.
So now that I see like structures of certain problems, that can like help me learn different problems and help me learn more so I can do harder problems. Try to break it down because that's what my teachers taught me to do.
In strategic math, we work on worksheets that are separated into different sections so that we can work on the problems part by part. When I'm given a problem I'm not seen before, I have a plan of attack.
When I see a complicated problem, I just stop and think about it for a second, and usually I just go for it.
I'm starting to understand that the math actually makes sense. I think I'm actually enjoying math now.
The class is really relaxed, but also hard workers. We help each other if we need help from one another.
I'm not really afraid to not understand things in your class because
Everyone's friends with each other in that class, and we all talk to each other. And if we want to be left alone, we'll leave each other alone.
We have a good amount of independence in how we engage in the work.
In Algebra 2, I find the math very enjoyable. I understand it more.
Yeah, I'm very proud. I think I've been doing very well. My overall understanding of math.
I'm proud of my grades these days.
I feel more confident in my work and I've been getting better grades and I just got an A- on my last test. And I'm really proud of what I can do.
I feel like I've grown a lot.
I am very proud of myself of where I am right now.
So strategic math is a little bit of a reflection of a specific course that was designed to help get the students where they needed to be. And so you can see from our coursework, from our clubs, our activities, our national contests and challenges that we're not only participating in but winning. We are accomplishing many great things in the mathematics department as well as the science department, and I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to present tonight, to share a little bit about this with each of you. And I personally will tell you that our math department is excited about the things that they're exploring and investigating, and we look forward to being able to come back and share how this is going to evolve for our students in the future. So thank you.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. It's so interesting for us to be able to hear directly from our instructional directors, and thank you for bringing the students. That just makes it all make sense, right?
Attention students, can you return? Students.
Students to the boardroom. Could we get a picture with you or of all of you? We don't have to be in it. That was fun. We are now moving on to public participation. At this point in the evening's agenda, this opportunity for public participation will be limited to comments about the meeting's agenda items only. Please hold any other comments until our next public participation opportunity, which will occur a little bit later in tonight's meeting. So if you have anything that you would like to address the board about that is regarding our agenda this evening, I invite you to step to the podium and introduce yourself and share your comments. Okay, seeing. Oh. Do you want to wait till, well, we have another opportunity. Oh, you ready?
Good evening. We are Laura and Don Adams, parents of 4 and advocates for adoptive families and quality and safety in our schools. In December, I reported shocking DCFS data showing Lake Forest High School has the #1 rate of mandated reporter calls on the North Shore for the last 6 years by a rate of 2 to 14 times more than any other school, with 90% being unfounded. Tonight, I'm here again to report new DCFS data shows this year Lake Forest High School is once again the highest caller. In fact, this year our school is on track to have the highest number of calls.
You know what? Can you hold your comments until the public comment that is not tied to the agenda? Because that isn't on the agenda this evening. We have 2 portions of public comment. This is agenda related. So if you would take your seat, we'll give you an opportunity later on the evening's agenda. Thank you. Okay, we are going to move on to the post-secondary report. And so, Mr. Maher, I know you are stepping in for Dr. Sasson, who is out with a family emergency, so thank you for being here on his behalf and joining us.
Hello, my name is John Maher. I'm Director of Student Services at the high school. Thanks for having me. I'd like to reiterate what Dr. Lenart was talking about earlier, is that it is School Counselor Week, and we are very proud of our group of school counselors. They work really hard to get to know your children each and every day, and they tirelessly work with our teams of individuals within our school to really do the best they can for these students. So just wanted to congratulate them on their National Week. So I'm here to talk about college admissions and post-secondary programming. And I'll try to do Dr. Sasson's presentation some justice. So this is a little bit of a long report, but the long report was given to you, by the way, earlier. I'm going to try to give a brief summary of the national landscape of college admissions and what we do at Lake Forest High School to help prepare our students to apply for college, to get into college. Anecdotally, my stepdaughter graduated in 2019, and all I keep hearing from her is how prepared she has been, particularly her writing skills. That's what she talks about, that she knocks it out of the park compared to people around her. So we're going to talk about, some common application information. So what we have is that the new thing in college applications is a common app. So it used to be really difficult to fill out a lot of applications. Each school had their own separate application. It got really tedious. It also prevented a lot of students from filling out particular applications to school because they could only do so many. The Common App has really opened wide that gate. Almost it has become a floodgate. So in seeing some of this data, you can see that first-year applicants, there's been a 26% increase. Total applicants, there's been a 41% increase. And the number of applications per student, there's been a 12% increase. So I personally have heard of students applying to 20, 30 plus schools. Now the trick is that that's where the logjam comes in. It's not an excuse, it just is the landscape of things, is that those students, say they apply to 25, they get into 20, those colleges are holding those spots until that person decides. So it does create a bit, as I said, of a logjam. Underrepresented minority applicants, there's been a 32% increase. Students who claim to be eligible for the Common App waiver fee, there's been a 54% increase. And international applicants, there's been a 63% increase. So colleges are continuously looking for diverse students. Another chart here talks about institutional characteristics. So there's been an increase since 2019 for applications to public universities by 44%. Private universities, 28%. Applicants to the most selective members, 45%, and to less selective members, 38%. So again, a lot more increase. So applicants reporting, submitting standardized scores. So especially post-pandemic, a lot of schools said tests are optional, test scores are optional, ACT, SAT. So the class of 2020 reported 78% sending in test scores. Pandemic, 2021, 45%. Class of 22, 51%. Class of 2023, currently it's at 48%. So, what this is stating is that it's really going to be interesting to see what the landscape is going to be for the next 5 years. Is it going to be colleges are going to continue to say that test optional scores and just come and apply, or are they going to slowly start cracking down and asking for more test scores from our students? We're not quite sure where that's going to land, but it could change the way applications go. So this is some reflections from some admissions officers. What we decided to do is kind of pick out Dayton, University of Illinois, University of Wisconsin-Madison, and we also have Purdue. So these are all schools that are in the top 5 lists of applicants, Lake Forest students going to these colleges. So Dayton University, they had talked about that the deadline of regular decision to apply to the business school was full. So by the time you could apply regular decision, not that the regular decision was ending, the beginning of regular decision, their business school was already full. U of I, they had a 75% increase in applications. Purdue, interestingly, we talked to one of their counselors, and they kind of said that it was a really interesting quote. He compared it to calamari. He's like, calamari is good. It's a little more expensive. People say you should always get it at restaurants, but it's not for everybody. And just because the names are popular, because maybe your friends are applying, doesn't mean that you need to apply, again, to the 20 schools, to the 25 schools. That you should really try to apply to the schools that would be good for you. So college and career counseling. There is a market for college counselors, for private college counselors. We hear about it quite a bit. We really truly believe that our counseling department really does a great job in supporting our students. And there's more data to show later on that our students kind of feel the same way. What our counselors do, they hold counseling seminars. So they do pretty much once a quarter, freshmen, sophomores, juniors, seniors, and they do them in small groups. They go into the classrooms. The English department is great and allows us to use their classrooms, and we go in there and we talk about all these different types of things throughout the 4 years. There's a 4-year planning in Naviance. That happens right away freshman year. There's goal setting. There's career cluster inventory, which we're going to talk a little bit further about with Naviance. There's resume and transcript development. There's college visits in the CCRC, which is our College Career Resource Center. There's Naviance search features. There's testing and accommodations that is discussed. There's application guidance, college essay writing summer class. Was just talking about it today with some of our counselors, how excited they are that they're going to get the opportunity again to do a writing summer class. And that summer class, once again, is for the Common App. It's to give our kids a leg up come the beginning of the school year. Teacher recs, coordination, transcript submissions, there's a lot of information that has gone through. That doesn't include our individual counseling meetings. So whenever, and sat in through a number of these different seminars, they always say, we're going to talk, we're going to meet individually. This is a lot of information. They really sit there and they try to reassure our students that they're not alone in this journey and that they're going to do everything they can to help them. So we really believe in data-informed guidance. So Naviance is our college and career readiness system. We input a lot of data in there. Every high school inputs a lot of data. What it does is it builds out scattergrams for our students. So one example would be ACT plus your GPA. These are the schools that you potentially could get into. We always talk about reach schools. We talk about safety schools. We want students to go where they feel like they're going to best be. We want them to apply to it, but we also want them to understand the landscape of things. Naviance also, there's admission contacts. They tell you what the cost of the schools are, financial aid, the number of students that applied. The amount of data that is in Naviance can be overwhelming, but I really feel like they do a nice job in kind of showing it to our students and really kind of breaking it down so that it's understandable. We also have our College and Career Resource Center. So it used to be on one side of the hallway. We moved it to the other side of the hallway because we like the windows and the lights and the sun. We're really kind of proud of it. So Jennifer Gleason, who's actually my admin assistant, really runs the college visits. Like, she coordinates them, sets them up. We have over 200 college visits every year. And it's amazing. These college counselors come in, they talk, they meet with our students. Some are in bigger groups, some are in really small groups. We talk about local and national scholarships. We talk about career seminars. We just had an electrician come in, I think about 2 weeks ago. A friend of a friend comes in. He's actually brought his dog for puppy cuddling before, and he's an electrician, and he talked to a couple students in the College Career Resource Center. So it was really great to see. We talk about college and technical education. So there's a lot of programs in Illinois that we feel we can kind of dive into and really help get our students more into the college technical education. So there's Tech Campus. Our kids go for close to a half a day, a little over a half a day, and they'll go in the morning and they'll go in the morning and they'll go to one of these different classes. They have everything from cosmetology, early childhood, welding. Welding is already full. Just a huge demand for that. 3D app, game design, auto collision. It's amazing when you go in there and you see these spaces and what these teachers are doing from students from all over the county. They can leave high school with a certification. Many do, and that just gives them a leg up, whether it is they want to go to a four-year college or they just want to go to a two-year college or go straight into a trade. We also have what is called CBO, College Bound Opportunities. We're really proud of this. We really work hard on trying to identify mainly first-generation students. College Bound Opportunities, 90% are first-gen students as far as wanting to go to college. The amount of support that College Bound Opportunities give each student is ridiculous. It's 6 years of individualized support. They start sophomore year and they go all the way through a four-year college all the way to the end. They really work with each student individually to make sure that they are maximizing their potential and trying to be as successful as they can be. Every student that goes into CBO ends up graduating from that college. So it's really impressive. Currently, we have 4 CBO students. We'll have 3 graduating, 1 still left after this year, so we're hoping we can get a couple more in the pipeline. So pre-pandemic, we started an alumni panel. Again, I'll plug my stepdaughter. She was on the alumni panel, really loved it. She's like, "Are you doing it again?" Yeah, we're doing it a week that you're not going to be in, and we're not flying you in, so sorry. But it is amazing how the students really connect. The students go into the theater, ask questions. It's real life, real time. It's really great to see and to hear these students and how successful they are, but also hear maybe some struggles and some tricks that could potentially help our students in the future. So this is our senior exit survey. So our senior exit survey is all self-reported. So we ask for as much data as we can get. We get back what we get back. There's really no great way for us to track it because these students only know, what they've really truly have applied to, which ones they've gotten into. You know, they might have had a first pick college, and then halfway through the process, that first pick college became a third pick college, and now it's a first pick college. And so, you know, we just try to gather whatever data we can gather from them. And usually our students are really good on trying to get us that information back. Just a couple quick things to point out. When asked if the student met with a teacher during PLT. So PLT is our Wednesday morning. Teachers are there to support our students. They're there for an hour. They can come into the classroom. We had just under 77% of students say they attend PLT. That is an incredible, wonderful resource, and that's really great feedback from us, knowing that PLT is being used and is, in my opinion, working. Another interesting thing is that over 96% felt that their counselor had enough contact with them. Again, could we have more? Could we try to figure out ways to do more? We're always trying to take a look at what we're doing as a counseling department. That really, you know, makes me feel pretty good that we are really trying to connect with our kids. Now that 3.6%, why is it 3.6? Because we want it to be 0. We're going to work our butts off to make it better. This is, again, kind of some more detail as far as how Naviance helps. And again, if you look at this bottom slide, it pretty much tells you that 96% feel that their experience with our counseling department was either excellent or good. Again, we would like 96% excellence. We want 100% excellence, but I'm feeling really good about that data. So where did the class of 2022 go? So just under 94% attended a 4-year college, with 1.5% attending a 2-year college, and that's out of 333 respondents. We're all over the place. We're all over the map. If we want to go extremes, California, 11 went last year. Florida, 11 went. But it seems like a majority of our students really stay in the Midwest. 28 in Wisconsin, 56 in Illinois, 55 in Indiana, just our neighboring states. So it really kind of shows that our, you know, and we are lucky. We're in an area of the United States that has incredible colleges and universities. Our institutions are amazing in the Midwest, and I think our students really take advantage of that. So this is, I'm not going to go through all the numbers, but this is our top 2 or 4-year public schools enrolled by the class of 2022, with University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign being our tops with 26. Top year private school, Boston College, we had 9 attend there. I'm a big Notre Dame fan, we had 5. And then, so next steps. As I've been trying to reiterate, we're not satisfied. We're never satisfied. We want to keep growing. We want to keep trying to figure out ways to best support our students. It's great to know most of our students go for 4 years. We want to support those students for two. We want to support those students that may decide to go into a career pathway and not even go to college. We want to give them the best tools and the best skills and the best opportunities. So by 2030, we want to really develop all 16 career pathway endorsements. So what this is it's auditing our curriculum, it's creating internships and dual credit, it's establishing career pathway opportunities. We also are looking at RAMP. What RAMP is, it's the National Certification for School Counselors. There's very few schools in the state of Illinois that have this RAMP. Stevenson is the only one in the area that I know of. There's, I think, maybe a total of 15 or 16 in the entire state of Illinois. We really want to align, and what that is aligning yourself with the school, with the Illinois School Association, and what they expect from most counseling departments. And then an ongoing systemic review of everything we do on a consistent basis. Again, we want to, those kids that maybe, those 3% that maybe feel like we didn't do enough, we want to do more for. For those that feel like we were good, we want to be excellent. So we're going to keep striving. And that's it. So a lot of thanks to our, again, our counseling department, our assistants, our registrar, everybody. We really come together as a team and really work hard. We really trust each other, and we're there for your children. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Any questions, thoughts, concerns, anything?
Does the board have any questions for John before he leaves us?
Yeah, no, just echoing your experience as a father now of two who've used the services, so it's really excellent. And we, as a parent who has not come up through the U.S. education system, we really had to rely on you and your colleagues. So thank you for everything they do. They do an outstanding job. So,
yeah, thank you. All right.
No, well, thank you for being here.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you for everything.
I just want to publicly thank you for, we were in a meeting for an hour today going through Dr. Sasson's slides, but the passion and knowledge that you bring to the departments, I mean, it's evident that you know your counseling department, you know the programs as well. So thank you for jumping in there at the last minute as well. We appreciate you.
Okay, we will move on to committee reports now, and we're going to, what? No, not just yet. We have to wait with bated breath. Yeah. So we're going to start with Dewey Weinbrenner. Dewey and Dr. Montgomery were at a meeting, and I'm glad you guys are here now, and we'd like to hear from you on the Education Committee.
Sure. We've not yet met this year. We have a meeting scheduled for next Tuesday, Valentine's Day. We will be discussing an update on Portrait of a Learner, and I think we'll get an update on the referendum also.
So we'll hear more from you next month. Finance and Ops Committee, John Noble.
Yep, so we are meeting bright and early tomorrow morning. So if you want to put on your accounting hat, you can come and join us at 7:30. But no, we'll keep our news for tomorrow, I guess. Is there anything, unless we want to share anything now or no? So it's just the review of the audit. So unless Sally does, yeah. So that's that.
Okay. Sally Davis, I don't know if the Policy Committee has met in 2023 yet.
We have not, but the joint District 67 and 115 policy committees met on December 12th, which was less than a week after our December board meeting. And at that time, we went through the recommended updates, press issue 110. Because we did not meet in January, you are now seeing the results of that meeting on today's agenda later on. Because, and I'll just finish all this now so we don't go into it in detail when we get to it on the agenda, much of the work was largely in the press recommendations to clean up existing policies in relation to changes in legislation or amendments to, based on case law. We are going to recommend that we dispense with, or agree to dispense with the first reading and move into the second reading because there's really nothing terribly substantive there. And 67 met in January, so they did their first reading, so this will put us back on track with each other. I know how interesting that is. There's more. We also had a report at the December meeting from Tiana Adams, who is our board clerk, about subscribing not just to Press, but Press Plus, which is the Illinois Association of School Boards' customized full maintenance policy update service for school boards. It has a number of features that will make our policies much more accessible to the community and, frankly, to the administration, rather than us having to open a document at a time. It gives not only updates, but it also allows full search. It is really an interactive platform as opposed to a series of PDFs that you have to scroll through. And I'm really grateful to Tiana for taking the time to learn about it and advocate for it. So I'm very much looking forward to us bringing that on board. And we will not meet unless we have a special issue or Press Issue 111 is released. So we don't have anything on the books right now.
How soon will you transition to Press Plus?
That's a great question, Tiana. We just got approval from our illustrious board president so that we can make the purchase. We had to get it from 67 as well. So Tiana, I don't know, next steps are to schedule an informational meeting. Know how much you're going to miss the 3-ring binders that you were using in the boxes under your desk to maintain our policies, so as soon as possible.
Okay, thank you. Now the liaison reports, and John Noble, I'm going back to you for EdRed.
Yep, so not a ton of meetings yet legislatively. They have just assigned the Senate and House committee chairs and members, and so that is kicking off with meetings this week. There are 4 initiatives that I've highlighted that are in play right now that are initiatives on EdRed that I sit in some of the meetings and some of the committees. So clear and present dangers, TIF reform, the mandate trainings, and a remediation data sharing. One is not there yet is some work on special education committee that is still happening in committee meetings that I'm attending next week, I believe the 17th and whenever the other date is for the special education. So those are committee meetings. I think it's every month to 2 months with EdRed, but they've got some nice initiatives, and I'll just continue to update as we learn more. But we're doing things, whatever.
That's great, thank you. I know how much time you invest in this work on behalf of the board, so thank you for that. John Venson, True North Educational Cooperative 804.
Thank you. As usual, Dr. Schneider has presented a succinct summary of the meeting. A couple of highlights. The 2022 audit was clean, which we're all happy to hear. They are continuing to work with financial planning, facilities planning, and strategic planning. 2 of the issues probably that are most concerning to the True North Cooperative right now is from the facilities planning side is how the cost of Part 2 of their facilities planning is going to affect members of the cooperative from a cost standpoint. And I know they have been meeting with leadership from each of the members to discuss that and see how that can work out going forward. On the strategic planning side, the difficulty is planning what they call guaranteed priority placements. That's where those are spots assigned to cooperative members, and balancing those spots with the cost of having those spots promised and not being used, how to shift those, and then using the historical and anticipated future needs and allocations. So that will be ongoing also with discussions with the leadership of the members.
Great, thank you, John. And Dave Burns is not here this evening, so we will look forward to an update from him on the parent support organizations at our March meeting. Now, I would like to turn the meeting over to Dr. Montgomery for the superintendent's report.
Thanks, Jenny, very much, and I apologize again for my tardiness. I appreciate President Zinser allowing both Dewey and I to attend a meeting off-site at the start of the meeting, or actually in between the workshop and the start of the regular meeting. So I appreciate your patience, and I'm sorry that I missed the presentation. For tonight's report, I'm going to cover 3 topics, and I will try to be brief. The first one is on a strategic planning update. Second is the referendum, and then the third one is just some activities that I've been engaged in outside of the day job in terms of advocacy and contributing back to the field. With regard to strategic planning, we are moving finally, I would say finally, thankfully maybe is a better word, into the final stages of the process. It seems like a long journey in that we started the Portrait of a Graduate work last spring, and I think I proposed an idea to you fall of the first year of my tenure. The portrait took the bulk of the spring semester, finished in June, and then I said we would quickly begin the strategic planning process, which started in October of this school year and will be wrapped up and presented to you in its final draft as a recommendation at the March meeting. In February right now, we are doing final reviews with the school improvement plan or committee, as well as the board, the cabinet, and the design team. So it has been an iterative process from the original drafts that the teams looked at 2 weeks ago, both in 67 and 115. They have changed in a big way. Each time we're editing and improving, and I'm excited to share the final product. I think the most recent update of both plans, 67 and 115, will be released tomorrow to the design team and to the board, and we are wrapping up the process to make the March 7th deadline for 115 and the March 14th deadline for 67. If you look at, this is just showing you where we move from October 6th all the way to March 7th. There have been 2 groups that have been meeting. One has been the design team, which is a cross-section of about 50 stakeholder groups across the 115 community. There's a separate one, or upgrades. I've fielded a great deal of questions about, is it a complete infrastructure project? And I've been responding that with, we could have packaged it as all infrastructure, because what we are doing is infrastructure in the classroom and then infrastructure behind the scenes. I think it's easier to see the infrastructure improvements in the classrooms when it's over, as opposed to the infrastructures of electrical units, HVAC, plumbing, outside of the windows. I think people will notice the improvement in windows should the voters support this initiative. But that's how we tried to separate it out so people understood what it meant. When I look at proposed improvements, the buckets that we have synthesized are maintenance and infrastructure, what I highlighted, safety and security, such as rapid lockdown systems, door sensors at all exterior doors, additional security cameras, ADA accessibility in restrooms and labs. While we are in compliant in an ADA accessibility, this will improve the experience for those students with special needs in the terms of accessibility. Student support spaces, and then lastly, labs, classrooms, and technology. $15 million of the 105.7 will be dedicated to the science labs alone, and getting them more in line with what students experience at both DPM and Lake Bluff Middle. So right now they essentially go back in time when they're walking into the science labs at LFHS. We're hoping that that is no longer the case post-April and beyond. The road show last night, and I'm not going to be on this very much because I don't really like that picture, but just so you know, last night of myself, angles are important. Apparently I do have a bad side. I didn't think it was possible. I'll tell my mom. That was a joke. The road show, I've talked with the boosters, the foundation, the Spirit is on the horizon, APT, caucus, city council, Lake Bluff board, the village of Lake Bluff is coming up, the Rotary is on the horizon, the American Legion, the opportunities to get out in front of people and answer questions that may be in front of folks are many, and we're continuing to do that. Tomorrow night, there's a unique opportunity. Most of you in the room know that we started a Let's Talk series on hot topic issues last school year during the throes of the pandemic. That continued this school year, and we are offering a Let's Talk referendum, which is tomorrow night in the Little Theater at 7 p.m. There will be building tours before the presentations, starting at 6 o'clock, and the presentation will begin at 7. We are going to try our hardest to keep to the hour timeline. Know that the bulk of the presentation will be a recap of the project and then dedicated time to Q&A. I am hoping 45 to 40 minutes, hopefully 45 minutes, solely Q&A for people who have wonderings about the project and everything that goes into it. Any questions about the Let's Talk or the referendum or items that the school board wants to add to this report? Last section is about some of the involvement that I'm contributing to at the national level, and this is just so people see that there are other things that I'm passionate about. I am a proud co-chair of the National Organization for Superintendent STEM Leadership Consortium. If there was a debate before I got here about science or math, I'm going to pick science every day. Science is my passion. I was a high school science teacher before I moved into administration, and I am excited to co-lead and look at STEM advancement across the country and talk to different districts and superintendents and leaders around what is innovative across the country and bring stuff back, as well as share the amazing things that are happening to us. I was approached by the School CEO magazine to write a article recently on serving 2 school boards simultaneously. That is rather novel across the country. That's not a normal experience in many areas. So I was approached by, could you share about board relations, how to create successful environments, which I would argue I hit 50% of the time. I try really hard. But it was a pleasure to write for this magazine and hopefully share some insight on the nuances of board relations and how the 8 of us or the 15 of us make it work across both districts. So happy to showcase both 67 and 115 in this piece. That concludes my superintendent's report, but I'm more than willing and happy to answer any questions that may be present at this time.
I thought you were very kind in your article about how you navigate 14 board members.
It is a pleasure. Stays.
Okay. Unless anyone has questions for Matt, we will move on to our action items. May I have a motion to approve the contract for Jolanta Tulsick, consultant to conduct special education and 504 evaluations for the 2022-2023 school year?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. And Jeff, before we vote, would you just let our guests know a little bit more about this?
Sure, I think I was talking about this in the spring of last year too. We've used Jolanta each year to do evaluations for students who are in the Lake Forest, Lake Bluff community, but don't attend Lake Forest High School.
Okay, does anyone have any questions before we make a motion or have a roll call vote? May I have a roll call, please, Tiana?
Ms. Zinzer?
Aye.
Ms. Davis?
Aye.
Mr. Weinberner?
Aye.
Dr. Vinson?
Aye.
Dr. Schabacher?
Aye.
Mr. Noble?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. May I have a motion to approve the e-learning plan for pandemic and/or emergency preparedness?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Jeff, do you want to give an overview of this as well?
Sure. So we filed an e-learning plan with the state 3 years ago. The state requires us to file it every 3 years. We have in our current plan, if there are 2 emergency days, we won't have an e-learning day. It'll be a traditional snow day. If we have the need for a third one, we, pending board approval, would then be able to utilize an e-learning day. So what we did is we took the e-learning plan from 2020. Dr. Lenart and her admin team took a look at it to see what from the state level needed to be revised or tweaked a little bit. So we would submit this to the state, and then if it was approved, we would be able to use e-learning days. It's a little bit, I don't want to say, it's more of a skeleton of a structure. There's certainly a lot more details that would go into it. While we don't anticipate needing to use it this winter, if we had that at our disposal, it would prevent us from tacking on emergency days at the end of the school year. Did you want to add anything?
Dr. Lenart, I've heard you say that as you look in the crystal ball of activities with the state of Illinois and the Illinois State Board of Education, that you expect that we will see activity from ISBE, not dictating, that's not the right word, but giving more thought to and probably more direction to school districts around what e-learning could look like. Can you talk about?
Yeah, I don't know Illinois politics that well, but I can only imagine as we see the landscape of e-learning and remote learning environments continue to evolve across the country. We see a number of states who are starting to not regulate, but sort of regulate, dictate what those environments might look like. I think if you would have asked us 5 years ago, we couldn't have imagined that we would even be having this conversation. So when I look at the criteria that Illinois has released for creating these e-learning plans, they're pretty vague. Questions that you have to answer are pretty vague. So I can only imagine as we see the evolution of e-learning across the country, and we really see it in the workforce as well, continue to evolve, we should be able to expect for some sort of guidance from ISBE. More specific guidance would be what I would anticipate.
I just have a very sort of technical question. So if I understand and read this correctly, so this is more broader guidance, and then you have the liberty to put it into practice, so to speak. So how quickly can you do that? I mean, this is if you say you want to use it for the third snow day or so, you got to do it basically overnight, right? Is that how I have to think about it, or?
So I think if you look at the plan, I believe it's built in there of when they would hope to know. The student would hopefully have their one-to-one device with them, and then the teachers would need to know to set that up. So we'd need to know by the day before. It's built into the e-learning plan that way. I mean, our hope is, who knows with the, how predictable or unpredictable it is here. I have yet to see a snow day in 2 years. So even last year, after going to school one day and saying, who goes to school in this? I've never gone to school in this. In Virginia, you just throw an ice cube in the road and you're out for a month. I'm kidding. But yeah, it would need to be called the day before, and I'd have to look to see what time we would need to do that.
In my 8 years here in the Lake Forest school districts, there's only been 1 year where there's been more than one emergency day used. It was that one, the end of January, that week, we had 4 in a row. So it's unlikely this year that we're going to, especially we're in February now, knock on wood. I think as we look into the future, though, as we go down the road, to Aaron's point, if things start to, whether it's legislation or if there would be opportunities to do e-learning, we would want to put a little bit more bandwidth into it to making sure if we did need to do it, it would be the most bang for the buck for the kids. We don't want to waste a day of instruction and have kids getting a day of school without really getting that instruction. But for this year, because we have those 2 emergency days, it's unlikely we'll even have to use this.
Yeah, and I wasn't so particularly concerned about this year. I just know from my emergency medical services training, if you don't practice, if it happens, you will fail, right? So I think I wonder if I would ask my senior on, does he know what to do if there is a, e-learning day? I would probably get a blank stare and say, what is that, right? So I would just encourage you to plan ahead, so to speak. So to your point, we don't want to lose those instructional days. So thank you.
I feel like we say e-learning and everyone panics. The second year, we're still kind of in a little bit of shock, but I'm actually a big proponent of some opportunities for students, 1, 2, 3 days a year. We see election day as an option in the future for them to practice some of these online skills where they have to actually produce, because that's the world they're going to enter. And we see that happening across industry now with work from home 2 days a week, 3 days a week. Students need to learn that skill of how to actually produce in an online environment. Colleges, there are colleges with requirements for certain numbers of their classes to be online and virtual. So, we have to prepare our students for the workforce of tomorrow, not the workforce of yesterday. And I know that we're all sort of guessing what that's like, but we see a lot of it already beginning to emerge and take shape.
To your point, though, if I call a second snow day, and I would anticipate it would be like a cold day or something, in February, we hit number 2, this team's going to have to be doing some heavy lifting to get ready this school year to address your very concern. So I think we are hoping that this is a over the summer fine-tuning, but if we get to number 2, we're going to have to make sure we are amping up communication in a bigger way and setting some clear parameters to make sure that ahead of that third day, if it should happen still this winter, that we are prepared.
And I appreciate that, but I 100% agree with you, Dr. Leonard, that this is the future and our kids need to be prepared. I mean, I see it in my college and I see it in my line of business. If we're not, I would not be competitive if I wouldn't offer work, right? So our kids need to know how to do that.
Very good. Good conversation. All right, Tiana, may I have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Weinberner?
Aye.
Mr. Burns? I'm sorry. Mr. Noble?
Aye.
Ms. Davis?
Aye.
Dr. Schaubacher?
Aye.
Dr. Vinson?
Aye.
Ms. Zinser?
Aye.
Motion carries.
May I have a motion to approve the settlement agreement with Chicagoland Paving, subject to attorney review?
So moved.
I have a second?
Second.
Jen Hermes, I know you've been wanting to talk about this. Jen?
Well, I have been waiting to get to a conclusion. That part is true. So this does date back to the tennis courts here at West Campus that were installed in 2016, 2017. We've been in litigation since 2018, so a very long time. But we did have a successful full-day mediation session last Monday. Ultimately, we are keeping our retainage, so money that we held from paying out of the contract of $56,590, so we will keep that. In addition, they will also write us a check for new money for $75,000. We paid $69,000 for the repairs that we did. The over and above the repair amount that they gave us is for future repairs, because we do anticipating cracks and things of that nature due to the workmanship that we will have to deal with, unfortunately, for the next few years. So that was very helpful in our successful conclusion of mediation.
And that was a successful conclusion. I know when we first started talking about this, nobody knew how it was going to play out. So thank you for everything you did to make this possible. Anyone have any questions? Okay, Tiana, could we have a roll call, please?
Dr. Vinson?
Aye.
Mr. Weinberner?
Aye.
Dr. Schaubacher?
Aye.
Mr. Noble?
Aye.
Ms. Zinser?
Aye.
Ms. Davis?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. We are now moving on to our consent agenda items. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda? What? Gosh, I'm sorry. I got ahead of myself. Thank you. May I have a motion to approve the activity bus lease extension?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Dr. Hermes, you again.
super easy. These are the white activity vans that you see in and about and around Lake Forest High School. We have them on 2 separate cycles, unfortunately. We have 3 vans that are on one cycle, and then we have one that's on an off cycle, and getting them on just has not seemed to work. Financially, this is a renewal lease for 3 years. As you can imagine, in today's market, even acquiring a used vehicle or keeping your lease has been a little bit difficult, but we are recommending the lease as represented tonight. It is an increase of just over $1,000 than what we pay annually now.
But a significant savings by doing the longer lease, I noticed.
Interesting, because 2 years that is how we would have put it in sync with the other 3 vans, and we'll go.
Yeah, okay, well, I support the decision you made, and I assume my board will as well. Anyone have any questions or comments on this? Okay, may I have a roll call vote, please, Tiana?
Ms. Davis?
Aye.
Dr. Schabacher?
Aye.
Ms. Zinser?
Aye.
Dr. Vinson?
Aye.
Mr. Weinberner?
Aye.
Mr. Noble?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Now, we will move on to the consent agenda items. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda items, including approval of disbursements, payrolls, and financial statements, August 2022, approval of Human Resources Report, approval of waive first reading of Press Issue 110, approval of Press Issue 110 second reading, minutes of a regular meeting and workshop November 1, 2022, minutes of an executive session November 1, 2022, minutes of a special meeting November 17th, 2022, minutes of a regular meeting and workshop December 6th, 2022, minutes of an executive session December 6, 2022, minutes of a tax levy hearing December 6, 2022, minutes of joint special closed meeting January 31st, 2023.
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
May I have a roll call vote, please?
Dr. Schabacher?
Aye.
Mr. Noble?
Aye.
Ms. Davis?
Aye.
Mr. Weinberner?
Aye.
Dr. Vinson?
Aye.
Ms. Zinser?
Aye.
Motion carries.
FOIA requests. Dan O'Neill, complete. Sydney Ryan, Lake County Federation of Teachers, complete. Sherry Reed, Smart Procure, complete. Josiah Chatterton, in progress. Robert Dodson, in progress. Stephanie Victor, in progress. Jeff Brinkett, 1 of 2, complete. Jeff Brinkett, 2 of 2, in progress. Parents Care FOIA Department, 1 of 4, completed. Parents Care FOIA Department, 2 of 4, in progress. Parents Care FOIA Department, 3 of 4 in progress. Parents Care FOIA Department, 4 of 4 in progress. At this point, the board will now hear a second opportunity for public comment, subject to Board Policy 2:230. This opportunity is for any public comment with items that were not on tonight's agenda that they would like to address the board with. So thank you for your patience, and I invite you back to the podium.
Thank you. We are Laura and Don Adams, parents of 4 and advocates for adoptive families and quality and safety in our schools. In December, I reported shocking DCFS data showing Lake Forest High School has the #1 rate of mandated reporter calls on the North Shore for the last 6 years by a rate of 2 to 14 times more than any other school, with 90% being unfounded. Tonight, I'm here again to report new DCFS data shows this year Lake Forest High School is once again the highest caller. In fact, this year, our school is on track to have the highest number of calls to DCFS ever. In the last 5 months, Lake Forest High School with 1,500 students has already made 4 calls on parents. New Trier with 4,000 kids has made only 2, and Hinsdale 0. I doubt this is the #1 rank or headline any parent or taxpayer in this district can be happy about. Moreover, the new data shows most of our schools' calls are coming from the school social work department. I have many questions for the board. What makes us so different from our southern and western neighbors? What does this say about Lake Forest High School's culture, values, and relationships with parents and families? How does this foster the communication and collaboration Dr. Frampton said was essential at the Let's Talk Forum last week? Who is making and monitoring these calls? Are calls being placed knowing the claim of mandatory reporting provides wide legal protection without regard for the grave legal process it starts and the harm it causes families? How do these calls affect the limited resources of DCFS? Are there a higher number of calls being placed on parents with children on 504s and IEPs? Research on DCF calls shows high unfounded rates indicate overreporting and that reporting can be used as a form of community policing when school personnel disagree with parental decisions. Currently, Lake Forest High School does not follow many of our state's social worker best ethics practices or provide transparency to parents of how social work is provided. Parents need to be warned. According to LFHS policy 7250, if a teacher has concerns regarding a child and wants to reach out to the parents, social workers are allowed to advise the teacher not to do so, and in addition, recommend the teacher and the student bring all their concerns to the social worker without the parent knowing. At LFHS, contacting a parent is considered only one intervention of many. This policy is dangerous for many reasons. Teachers defer to social workers thinking they know a child best, but a school social worker sees only a small piece of the picture. A parent has the right to know a teacher's concerns. There could be signs of underlying learning differences showing a child needs to be evaluated for a 504 IEP. It is harmful to encourage a child to keep information from a parent. It creates a wedge between the parent and child and makes the social worker the savior and the parent the enemy. Lastly, allowing a school social worker to be the gatekeeper of information, cutting off parents while also being allowed to meet alone in a room with a student, provides an opportunity for abuse. The bottom line is a parent should never be cut out of their own child's education, period.
Hi, I'm Don. Let's look at the data. Every mom and dad with a child at Lake Forest High School needs to be concerned. Every one of our children are at risk, whether that child sees a social worker currently or not, because by law, a social worker can meet with any student 8 times for 90 minutes without a parent's knowledge or consent. According to the National Institute of Health, social work is mental health care, and it's being done in a school setting without a safe policies in place. All our children are at risk, especially those with 504s and IEPs, where personnel information is shared in hopes of support, not judgment. How can parents trust district's social work department? We ask the school board to protect our children and families, change policies that cut out parents, and examine what's going on with these DCFS calls. Support the parent-child connection and let us be the loving families we are. Tonight we propose Lake Forest High School adopt a family bill of rights for medical and mental health care in our district. This Bill of Rights proposal is adapted by the State of Illinois' Foster Care Child and Youth Bill of Rights and State of Illinois' Foster Parents' Rights Act, as well as court rulings on the 14th Amendment, supporting a parent's right to make health care decisions for their children. Let's be clear, this is nothing to do with politics. It is not a left or right issue. It's a family issue and safety issue. We are not against school social work, but in place of policies and communication that includes the parents and builds strong families, not fractures them. If you don't believe me, believe the former director of DCFS, Beverly B.J. Walker, who implemented our state's Families First laws. And Ms. Walker says, and I quote, "We need to move away from a child first lens, which is significant change from the field. Children come with adults, and they want adults in their lives so badly that the system we run need to honor that. Otherwise, we don't actually honor the child. We have to challenge ourselves on that. We need to turn the system on its head and change the question we're asking. Who does the child most need? The answer is their parents." Unquote. We need to change in our school social work department. Show us you put families first. I implore you on behalf of all our families who love our children to critically examine what is going on in Lake Forest High School and adopt this Family Bill of Rights. I now respectfully request additional time to read the proposed Bill of Rights. I know there could be some other speaker. Jenny?
Can you tell me how long it is? Because we do hold them to 3 minutes. Did you? I don't object.
I'm at 3. I can wait or move on.
Pardon me? I didn't hear what you just said.
It's about 2 more minutes. I'm
Okay.
sure I'm at my 3 minutes at this point.
I don't have a problem with it if it's 2 minutes.
Okay. Family Bill of Rights for safety, medical, mental health care treatment in our schools. Children have the right to safety, security. Number 1, children have the right to safety and security in their school, medical and mental health care. Parents and children have the rights to transparency in how medical and mental health care treatment is provided in a school setting for both individual and group work. 3, parents have the right to be treated with dignity, respect, and consideration by school medical and mental health care professionals. Number 4, parents have the right to know all teachers' concerns regarding their child's, including academic and social-emotional concerns relevant to the care of their child. Parents have the right to make health care choices for their children, including which medical and mental health care treatment professionals work for their child. Parents have the right to know the credentials, training, experience of the school's medical and mental health care treatment professionals to facilitate their choices. Number 7, parents have the right to make medical decisions regarding treatment and medication for their children and to adhere to by the school medical and mental health care treatment professionals. Number 8, parents have the right to have their cultural, religious, and moral values known and adhered to in supporting their children's medical and mental health care treatment. Number 9, parents and children have the right to expect medical diagnosis and directives will be adhered to by the school medical and mental health care treatment professional. Number 10, parents have the right to information and communication with school medical and mental health care treatment professionals. Number 11, parents and children have the right to confidentiality in their children's medical and mental health care. Number 12, children have the right to be connected to their families, especially parents, and the family connection and relationship supported by school medical and mental health care professionals. Number 13, parents have the right to all documentation and records regarding their child's interactions with medical and mental health care treatment providers. And finally, number 14, parents and children have the right to bring their medical and mental health care treatment concerns regarding their child directly to this school board, which is the only de facto entity set up by the state to oversee medical care and mental health care for their children in a school setting. By adopting these Family Bill of Rights, our district will lead the state in showing you truly value the care and safety of our children. Thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that, yeah. Yeah, you can pass those to Tiana. Is there anyone else that would like to address the board during this portion of public comment tonight? Okay, seeing none, I am going to move on to announcements. Wednesday, February 8th, 2023, there is a Finance and Ops meeting at 7:30 a.m. Lake Forest High School's West Campus. Tuesday, February 14th, 2023, the Education Committee is meeting at 7:30 a.m. at Lake Forest High School's East Campus. Monday, February 20th, 2023, is President's Day. There is no school for students or staff. Tuesday, February 28th, Community Safety Series Critical First Aid, Save a Life, is held at 7 p.m. at Deer Path Middle School. Friday, March 3rd, 2023, is the Lake Forest High School Foundation Grant Day. Tuesday, March 7th, 2023, is our next Board of Education meeting here at the West Campus Boardroom at 7 p.m. May I have a motion to adjourn the Lake Forest Community High School District 115 Board meeting for February 7th, 2023?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
May I have a voice vote, please? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye.